Hello, friends. How's it going? Happy Monday. It's Stardew Day. How's it going, Momo? How are you?
It's going. How are you doing, Cleo?
I'm doing good. Oh my gosh. Hello, Astro. Welcome in. How are
Hello.
you? Um, Yeah, I'm doing good. Today was a really good day, actually. Bailey Sarian is back at it again with Murder Mystery and Makeup Mondays.
My
So
gosh,
my
how
little
happy are
spooky
you?
heart is fulfilled. Oh my gosh,
Yes,
you have no idea, literally.
just been waiting
Um,
so long.
and I'm so glad that Mel started watching it too, and we were talking about it in the Discord server because I was like, oh my gosh, I seriously love it so much, everything
Yeah,
about it. I will go off on Bailey Sarian,
love it.
and it won't take much to get me to do it. But that was very exciting. So I had just kind of a chill day. Had some coffee. That was nice. And I'm
Nice.
and then I'm probably gonna do a bunch of editing tonight. So not a
Whew,
bad
good
day.
luck.
Thanks.
Yeah,
What about
productive.
you? I mean, it will be, but it wasn't so far. But I did do
Same.
some stream stuff, like updating some things. We've got some
Yeah,
new commands and panels and whatnot. But I will tell you some more about that in a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, anything else for you, Momo? How have you been? How was work
Living it up.
today?
Work was all right. Had a good
Yeah,
weekend. I saw my best friends. Three of us hung out for the first time in like 3 years. So
love that. Yeah, because
yeah,
they
it
were
was
in
really
town
great.
on Friday.
Mm-hmm. So it was
Fun.
really
What'd
good
you
to
guys
see
do?
them. We ate out, just went shopping, did
Love
a lot of
it.
talking.
Yeah,
So
catching up,
a lot of
all
fun,
that good
fun
stuff.
bestie stuff. Yeah, so
I love
it was
that for
good.
you.
Yeah, just been like taking it easy. I
Yeah,
don't know what it
for
was
sure.
about the summer, but I feel like the summer was very stressful for some reason. So I'm like, you know what? I love fall. It's time to
Same.
like slow it down,
Yeah, there were
relax,
just like a lot
breathe.
of, I feel like there was a lot of big things this summer. I
Hmm.
also, I don't think I'm alone in feeling that 2022 has not been the year.
Did it?
um, I've had some streaks
Yeah.
of rough luck
Yep.
this year, so I definitely feel you.
Yeah.
Summer was not my favorite part, but
Mhm.
it rarely ever is. But
That
I just hate the
same.
heat,
Uh-huh.
so that's it for me, really.
Yeah. So I'm
Um,
ready. I'm ready for fall weather. I'm ready for fall
yes.
baked goods, fall drinks. I bought I'm obsessed with that Starbucks drink. They have
Oh,
like
really?
an apple,
Oh, I did
what is
see
it?
a little poster for that the other day when I was walking into
Yeah.
Albertsons.
So I bought some like apple syrup, some brown sugar, cinnamon syrup to make the drink
Ooh,
at home. So
DIY. I love it.
yes, it's really good in tea and coffee.
Ooh,
So
okay. I do fall seasonal teas are my favorite.
mm-hmm.
Like
Love apple.
I think it's like the Bigelow
Hmm.
brand of teas that always does like fun seasonal stuff, and
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
always about theirs. Like they have like weird caramel apple
Yep.
flavors and like
Love it.
eggnog and like all
Hmm.
kinds of stuff. Yeah, like pumpkin for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good things.
That's good
All good
stuff.
things. We love a seasonal
Yeah.
tea.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of delicious drinks, I'm so happy that I told you about the free game on Epic right
Girl.
now.
So.
I've been excited about this one for a while.
Hmm.
I not like I don't know if excited is the right word. I've just like it really piques my interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um and I've been wanting to try it out. It's been in my wish list, like on Steam or something, I'm sure. Um, but it's what is it called? Like 100 days?
100 years?
I think it's 100
Is that
days.
the song from Twilight? No, that's 1,000 years.
Oh my gosh. I like that that's where your head went though. Um no, I'm pretty sure it's 100 days. It's a
Yeah.
winemaking simulator. And you know how much we love a good management sim over
Wine
here.
operation. Yes.
Yeah, wine operation. It's like we've been practicing for this game, Momo.
It's our time.
Exactly. So I'm stoked about that. If you
Yeah.
guys have an Epic Games account, make sure you check out their free games available right now. I'm also kind of excited about the next one coming up on the 15th. Cute little animal one. What was that one? Something about the north.
Yeah, the North.
I have the worst memory in the entire world. I wrote down so many other things for today's conversation. Yeah. I just wasn't even thinking about those details. Oh man, me and my scatterbrained outlines. I'm like, ooh, this is really important. I should write this down. But then I leave out other crucial details. Oh, jeez. But I'm definitely going to be trying out some wine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sounds like a ton of fun. And I love indie games, so can't wait to try another indie management simulator game. It's right up my alley.
Yeah. All the good makings for a good game.
Right? Absolutely. I'm sure there's plenty of inventory management, and it did say strategy was a part of things, so I'm sure like the farming isn't like super simple. Like I bet it's kind of like a bit like Sakuna Rice and Ruin, where you have to like water it on a schedule and like these types of things, like, oh, the weather is like this, so the grapes need this much water, blah, blah, blah. Like I'm sure there's tricks like that in it.
Oh, I bet.
I'm excited though. I would definitely give that a good explore.
Yes.
But speaking of other things that are right up my alley, I watched a few spooky movies this week, and since we did the recap last time, I thought that I could share with you my experiences. One was really good, and I highly recommend. I'll save that one for last. It's also a little bit milder than the other one. But this first one kind of ties back into the 100 horror movies to see before you die.
Oh, yes, your list.
Yes. So on the list was the movie The Hills Have Eyes, which the original was 1977, I believe, and it was a John Carpenter film, and then they did a remake in 2006. But my bestie, apparently this is one of her preferred horror movies. So she's the bestie that like loves true crime and all of that stuff, but isn't into horror movies really.
I'm scared.
Yeah, getting into some spooky details. So it's just very odd to me that my bestie is like, I'm not really a horror movie person, and then she's like, but this is one of my favorites.
This is it.
So she saw that was on the list, and she was like, OMG, I have that on DVD. Like, you haven't seen that? Wow. And so this weekend I went over to her house to have a little Bessie movie night with her and her husband, and we made queso, and then she made fried chicken for like a normal dinner. And we watched a spooky movie. And we let her choose, and this is what she wanted to watch. She wanted to watch The Hills Have Eyes, and it is I I would give this one a spicy. This is fire. This is
Oh,
real spooky. And I
yeah.
won't even like tell you that many details because I don't even
Thank
really
you.
care to remember it. Can't do it. No, I
Blanked
hadn't.
out.
And my bestie was like, "This is amazing."
Oh my
And so
God.
we watched it all together, and it was definitely the first time I had seen it, at least like that version too.
Mhm.
And I don't know if her husband had seen it before, but we watched it, and it's quite gruesome.
Yee.
The basics are a out in the desert, you know. The United States did a bunch of nuclear testing
God.
when they just were setting off a bunch of bombs in the desert.
Mhm.
Like, just think of the Indiana Jones nuclear test town in the beginning of the new school Indiana Jones movies. It's lots of those vibes, except horror movie. So apparently this small population of miners did not want to move when the government came in and said, "Hey, get out of here. We're gonna use this land for whatever we want now, so you gotta go." And they didn't want to, so they just like went deeper into the mines and like waited it out, I guess.
Oh my
So
God.
they definitely got super infected by radiation and all sorts of things like that, like had problems like with
my
any new
God.
babies that were born, that type of thing, you know. So these mutant people live in the hills in the desert, and they trap unsuspecting tourists who wander too far off the highway and try and take the back roads in the desert. So this whole truck with an RV trailer behind it with a whole family, like there's 3 children, plus the oldest is married and has a baby of her own, plus the parents. Like, it's a big group of people. And all except for 2 of the kids, the husband and the baby, they don't make it. And it is super gory and gruesome and just a lot of things I didn't need to see.
Yeah.
And
Oh
if
my
if
goodness.
you're a real big animal lover, just don't do it. Just don't
No.
watch it. There's a couple
Warning.
scenes that I was like, "Oh my God.
Oh,
Why did they include that?"
oh
But, you
my
know, they really did the most with that one.
Ooh.
So if you're into gory things, there's that. I don't know how high on my list that one will make it. I don't think it would be in my 100.
Yeah.
I could have been
It's your
all right.
bestie's favorite. I love
Yeah,
it.
she was like, "This is a great horror movie," and I was like, "Oh, okay,
I like it.
all right, sure, sounds good."
Yeah.
Yeah, a hard watch for sure. And okay, honestly, we were getting all set up, like we had to break out the DVD player,
Oh, yeah.
and all of that stuff. So we also like had the menu screen on for a while, and while she was like cooking and everything, and her husband was like, "Oh, do you want me to like start it or wait for you?" And we just had the menu screen on for forever, and I was like, "Oh God, this is not a menu screen I would want to like fall asleep to and then wake up in the middle of the night."
Oh my God.
You know, like when you're
Even the
back in
menu
the old
screen's bad.
days when you're watching
Yeah.
movies and you fall asleep and then you wake up at like 2 or 3 a.m. and it's just the same like clip of a song playing over
Yeah.
and over again on the menu screen.
Oh
Ugh,
my God.
no, it's not
Not
an
the vibe.
enjoyable experience. I mean, had a good time hanging out, but
Yeah. I'd
No.
go for the queso and fried chicken.
right?
If I'd stay for the movie.
Yeah, that one was, it was a lot.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But the other one, the one that I do recommend. We're just talking spooky movies you missed the worst one, and now we're on to the milder one. Love it. I love it. I'm so here for it. Okay, so this one is called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And it came out in 2010, and it's a Guillermo del Toro movie, but in English. So you don't have to read any subtitles for this one. Usually in his movies, they're in Spanish, and there's lots of subtitles. Do you want me to give you a spoiler, or do you want me to tell you the synopsis?
You can do whatever your heart desires. I don't know yet.
Spoiler is it's a fairy tale movie, but very much like OG fairy tales, you know,
like grim fairy tales.
Yeah, or like Hans Christian Andersen and stuff, where they're actually like super bleak.
Like, oh, a fairy tale. Oh, guys, not that kind of fairy tale.
Just kidding, not that kind of fairy tale. Fairy tale, but spooky. It's about fairies, so literal fairy tale. Horror fairy tales? No, just real, regular, old-timey fairy tales. Because they all used to be spooky, because most of them were about, like, teaching your children how to behave and, like, things that they shouldn't do, like go out into the woods by themselves and things like that. Like, talk to strangers or accept candy from old ladies in the woods. So this one is all about like fairies, but spooky fairy tales, spooky fairies. Now I'll give you the synopsis now that you kind of know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So this young girl from a broken family is given away by LOL, Mel, Disney brainwashed you? Well, buckle up, kids, because that's the second half of this week's chatting sesh. But first, let's finish this. So this young girl, her mom can't hang with her full time anymore, so she sends her to her daddy and his new young girlfriend. But her dad is an architect, and he restores homes and is like doing some real fancy architecture stuff. Like, he's about to get on the cover of Architecture Digest. That's how good this guy is. Yeah. And his new young girlfriend, who actually is not that young, it's just like a thing that the mom said, you know, because she's salty about it. It's not doesn't seem to be a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
You know, other horror movie tropes. So the new girlfriend is an interior decorator, designer. So she's like working with him to restore this fancy old home back to its like former glory. And the home used to belong to this old artist who was like really famous and stuff. So they're like redoing the home like the same way he had it built, like importing fancy stuff like he did, and they really paid attention to the details. So this little girl comes to move in with them. So she comes to live with them, and it's a spooky old-timey house with like all kinds of weird like paintings and stuff everywhere, and it's like got fancy old chandeliers for lighting and like that kind of stuff. Like, it's spooky and old-timey. Yeah. So, and she's like maybe supposed to be like 8 or 9, maybe, I think. Yeah, so she's just like a young girl, and she's got a lot of emotional turmoil, obviously, because she thinks her mom has sent her away and given her away and all of that.
Aww.
And yeah, big sad. So she's living in this house, and one day she's like out exploring the garden, and she stumbles across like a buried basement. And the dad is like, what? There's no basement here. We've been working on this house and blah, 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 blah. Like, I know all about it. And there's no basement here. And of course, there's a weird old suspicious gardener man who, like... So there's, like, a gardener dude and a maid that I'm pretty sure, like, came with the house, you know?
Of course.
Like, that type of thing. Like, American Horror Story vibes. Like, the maid's just... it just comes with the house.
Yeah.
So he, of course, this old man is all like, oh, it's not a place for children. Like, she shouldn't be here. She shouldn't be around this. And so, of course, the dad is now all stoked, and he's like, well, we gotta find where this basement is. And so they go into the house and literally, like, knock down a wall so that they can find the entrance to the basement, which has obviously been hidden, probably for a reason.
Yeah.
And so they go down into the basement, and there's this super creepy, like, grate near the floor, and it looks like it would be, you know, like, okay, picture the fireplace in Howl's Moving Castle. And, like, you know how it's got the big, wide brick stuff that, like, kind of sticks out? It would be, like, on the front of that. Like, it's low to the floor and, like, kind of attached to the wall.
Okay.
And fireplace is a good reference because it's technically an ash pit. Where if you had to have a fireplace in your home back in the day, you needed to dispose of all of your ashes. And if you had a big fancy mansion, I'm sure you had, like, several fireplaces and stuff. So they have this big, huge, scary ash pit in the basement. Doesn't it sound fancy though? It sounds fancy.
Yeah, it sounds fancy.
But it doesn't really turn out to be so fancy. Because
God.
they're down there exploring the hidden basement that they didn't know existed. And of course the little girl is drawn towards the ash pit. Because she can hear voices coming out of the ash pit.
God.
But this grate on the front of it is, like, bolted shut. Like, it's obvious that it was meant to not be opened. And
signs are there.
The signs are clearly there. So they explore, and then they go upstairs, whatever, and they're just like, oh, cool. But she keeps, like, hearing things, like, in the vents, like, at night. That night she hears stuff, and they're all like, ooh, like, we want to be your friend, like, come down here and play with us. And, like, when she's in the basement looking at it the first time, they're all like
sweating.
They're like, hey, there's other kids down here, like, come play with us. And it's so super creepy. And, like, the whole first half of the movie, you don't even, like, see the creatures because lots of whispering through the vents. And then also it's called Don't Be Afraid of the Dark because the little fairy creatures are like vampires, like zero bright lights, like do not turn the lights on, do not shine a flashlight at me, like no lights.
That's sensitive, very sensitive.
Yeah, so that of course like plays a huge role into it. I won't ruin the entire thing for you. So the little girl goes down to the basement the next day and undoes the bolts on the grate and releases them into the home. And then, you know what? After they've been let out, they have to claim another person to bring down into the ash pit to replenish their numbers.
What?
So if you get pulled into the ash pit, you also get turned into a super scary, super creepy fairy. Yeah. And they are spicy when you see them, but you don't really see them a whole lot in the movie, which I kind of love because that was the thing with Jaws. Yeah. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, it's so scary because most of the time, like, you can't even see it. You just never know. Like, oh my gosh. And my favorite fun fact, is that it wasn't actually supposed to be that way in the movie. But the animatronic sharks just weren't functioning as well as they were anticipating. And so there was a lot of stuff that they couldn't do. And so it's because of the low quality special effects that Jaws is actually so scary because you don't see the shark.
So funny.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the 2 spooky movies I watched this week.
You more than I watched.
Probably.
The fairies though. Oh,
so
if I ever
scary.
go to a place and I see a basement with an ash pit.
Don't check it out. Don't open it up.
No.
Don't look inside.
Not
Don't
gonna be
lean
listening
close
for
to see if
voices.
you can hear voices. Because yeah, so like they're in the basement the first time and she's all leaning in and is all like, I hear the voices, like they're talking to me. And her dad is like, what do you mean? Blah 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 blah. And he like leans forward and they had snatched like a stick she had tried to poke in there because, you know, kids and stuff sticking it with sticks. She tries to shove a stick in the grate because it's bolted on, and the fairies steal it from her. They like suck it into the grate. There's lots of that too, like lots of stuff being like sucked away, like and you can't see them take it. You just see it being like sucked behind a photo frame or like into the vent, and it's so scary. But it was good. I actually really liked that one.
Yeah, that sounds like right up your alley.
Right? Fairy
You're
tales,
kind of spooky.
but spooky.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have a blog command. So if you haven't checked out my blog yet, here is a link for you. Also, that is going to be the home of Spooky Pasta Sauce, Momo and I's fall project this year. So definitely be sure to check that out if you haven't. And before I move on to the next thing, sorry, hold up, my bad. I am going to be doing my very own 31 Nights of Halloween this year. So that's going to be coming out on the blog. And then I am part of a new content creator team. Wow, what a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Called Ghost Friends with a Z. And with my 31 Nights of Halloween, we are going to do movie nights during the month of October in the Ghost Friends Discord server. So I will be hosting a few of them. I will be there for probably almost all of them. But if you guys would like to check out the Ghost Friends, yeah, Mimi, Ghost Friends plug. Our friend Mimi is also a member of the content team, so definitely check that out. We are super excited for our launch this October with our movie nights and all of these fun, exciting things we've got coming up. So be sure to check that out as well.
Exciting.
Yeah. So those are your two important links for more spooky horror type content. Yes, super fun. I'm very